Jai Hind, today we are on the forum of I Am Still Human. I am Lt Gen Gurmit Singh, and with me, excellent friend, Lt Gen Ved Chaturvedi. He's the former Director General of Medical Services, uh, and he's the top rheumatologist and immunologist of the nation. He's been awarded by President with distinguished awards and also awarded by Indian Rheumatologist Association. We are proud of our one person who is a health warrior and who is also a soldier warrior. That's the beauty of being Lieutenant General Ved Chaturvedi.
Thank you,
Welcome.
sir.
I welcome you
Thanks,
to the
sir.
program.
Thank you, sir, and
Actually,
Jahan.
Dan, this is a program which is catered for youth, women, and the entire public, for the nation, society और हर एक सिटीजन के लिए है क्योंकि अभी हम कोविड-19 का जो कोरोना फाइट एज ए नेशन वी आर फाइटिंग और आज के दिन में 1,98,000 is infected and 5,598 is the fatalities that we had. It's a very big challenge, a challenge time for the nation. और लॉकडाउन 4.0 खत्म हो गया है, अनलॉक शुरू हो गया है. तो इस स्थिति के अंदर में एट दिस मोमेंट you as a health warrior and that too at the apex, how do you look at the situation?
Sir, actually, when any disease starts infection, in fact, we also thought probably it is not our problem. This is a problem of China. In fact, I still remember I went to Dhaka on 5th of March and I went for a rheumatology purpose. And there were a lot of people who were from abroad. We were staying in the same hotel and the TV, the Bangladesh TV invited us for talk on rheumatology, but they asked me all question on COVID, which we didn't know. So I told them that we don't have a COVID corona. I'm talking about 7th of March. They say, no, you have 30 cases in Kerala. So I was surprised. I said, yes, that the students have come from China. I never thought, even not long back, that it is a major issue till it went into Europe. So it was even that time when on 7th March, it was not called as pandemic. It was still called as endemic. Endemic means lot of cases. Pandemic means lot of cases in the whole world. So the Bangladesh TV asked me, is it pandemic? I said it's not pandemic still by the WHO. And by the time 7th March, by the time I landed on 10th March probably, I realized the sudden change on the airport and they were recording temperature. तो मुझे लगा कुछ ना कुछ तो हो रहा है और उसी बीच में किसी ने मुझे बोला कि आप एक लेक्चर ले लीजिए. मुझे अभी भी याद है ईएसआई हॉस्पिटल कुछ मेडिकल कॉलेज ने तो उन्होंने कोई रोमेटोलॉजी का टॉपिक दिया 11th मार्च को मोस्ट प्रॉब्ली. मैंने कहा नहीं मैं कोविड पे बोलूंगा क्यों कि जो कुछ आप पढ़ते हो तो आपको याद रहता है. सो आई टुक ए लेक्चर and then suddenly next day one TV person came. Even as a doctor I didn't realize it is brewing up. The news media catches it much faster than doctors. So we were working normally. I said fine, it's pandemic, so what? But then the news of death from Spain, US actually never thought. It is like sometime as a I can give you example of soldier. एक कोई सोल्जर कहता है ना कि यार मेरे को कुछ नहीं होगा, ऐसा नहीं है. That is what happened to Americans. The American thought it's a developed nation. Probably they are very well health system. Nothing will happen. But infection is infection. This virus has two characteristics: highly infectious and highly dividing force. Today 10, it becomes 20,000. So it multiplies. So it is two scientific characteristic makes it different from other infection. Highly infectious, one of the most infectious agent known till today, and it 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 multiplies in the body very fast.
General, I think what I've noted down is that you are talking about 5th of March. In fact, this is very significant that as early as 5th of March, while you were in the Bangladesh, that is the time that you're talking about the topic of COVID. So it is important for our viewers to relate to the date and relate to the
So
challenge.
very
Am I
important,
right?
actually, very important because history is very important. So you can imagine, even on 5th of March, not many Indians knew about the COVID.
And like the moment you learned about COVID as a challenge at that moment, did something strike in your mind that the to a doctor and to a journal like you, you're always looking, hunting for solutions of problem. So did something strike you at that moment that
No,
where is the
very,
solution?
very interesting. Actually, I myself started running temperature when I came. And you will not believe the testing that time was on 7th of, I think probably 10th of March testing had not started. It was only done in Pune. So I read the whole thing. I took it, and then I went into the history of treatment of these type of viruses. Now, this is a family of viruses. Like, suppose you have a snake, then you have cobra, crate, this, that. So, this is a family of viruses called as coronavirus. And this particular virus, Chinese realized the Chinese had first case on the 31st of December. So you can remember roughly 1st January. So even in China, it started as late as 1st January. They realized that this case, these are cases are occurring, and they reported the first case in January, and they realized this virus is different from other coronavirus. This is a coronavirus. Corona means something like you have वो जो राजा का मुकुट होता है ना वैसा. So it's a ring around that, and then they studied the characteristic of the virus. Whatever we say, they did a job. They identified the characteristic of the virus, that it is killed by soap, it is killed by the alcohol, where it is in small an amount. A lot of people ask me, what is the difference between virus and bacteria? Virus, they don't multiply. They are not living creature. They don't multiply when they are on the surface. But the moment they get a host like me and you, the moment they enter, they start multiplying. So that's a very different characteristic. While bacteria, even they are lying on the surface, like टीबी का बैक्टीरिया है, यदि आपके टेबल पे पड़ा है तो एक का दो, दो का चार होता रहेगा. इसीलिए वायरस की स्टडीज बहुत मुश्किल है. वायरस का कल्चर बहुत मुश्किल है. कई लोग बोलते हैं भाई एक ब्लड टेस्ट सिंपल सा क्यों नहीं निकाल लेते, एक ब्लड को उसको ले लीजिए और कल्चर कर लीजिए. तो वायरस को कल्चर करना बॉडी के बाहर बहुत मुश्किल है. इसीलिए सब इनडायरेक्ट टेस्ट आए हैं. कोई कहता है कि पीसीआर टेस्ट कर लीजिए, कोई कहता है कि दूसरा टेस्ट कर लीजिए, क्योंकि उसका कल्चर करना बहुत मुश्किल है. और वैसे पूछा जाए तो ये इलनेस दूसरे वायरस की तरह ही है, क्योंकि सार्क वायरस पहले 2005 में था. ऐसे ही सिम्टम थे, कोई नया चीज नहीं है. ये थ्रोट में आपके दर्द होगा, आपके जुकाम होगा, आपको वायरल सिम्टम्स होंगे, आपको आपका लॉस ऑफ टेस्ट होगा, आपको मसल्स में दर्द होगा, और आपके लंग्स में निमोनिया हो जाएगा, और ऑक्सीजनेशन कम हो जाएगा. ये सभी वायरस में होता है. इनफैक्ट कहा जाए तो सार्क वायरस की जो मोर्टिलिटी है इससे 30% ज्यादा थी. वो बहुत डेंजरस था, क्योंकि वो पेंडेमिक नहीं हुआ. इट वाज जस्ट कन्फाइंड टू फ्यू, लाइक हांगकांग, सिंगापुर, चाइना. तो हम लोगों को पता नहीं चला, और कुछ कारणों से वहीं वो शांत हो गया. उस समय ये दवाई यूज की गई थी. उस समय जो साइंटिस्ट थे बड़े चिंतित थे कि क्या किया जाए. सो दे यूज लॉट ऑफ ड्रग्स. हाउ दे यूज ड्रग, उन्होंने वायरस को लिया और एक सेल में डाल दिया. बॉडी के बाहर सेल्स में, इसको बोलते हैं सेल लाइन, और उसके ऊपर डिफरेंट ड्रग्स ट्राई की गई. तो जो ड्रग्स ट्राई की गई उसमें एक थी रेमडेसिविर, उसमें थी एक क्लोरोक्विन और हाइड्रोक्सीक्लोरोक्विन, और बहुत सारी एंटीवायरल ड्रग जो एचआईवी में यूज होती हैं. दैट इज अ टाइम जो प्रेजेंट एनआईएच के जो आपने कभी कभी यू मस्ट हैव सीन दिस जेंटलमैन स्टैंडिंग बिहाइंड द ट्रम्प, दिस कॉल्ड एंथनी फॉसी,
Anji.
immunologist from NIH. In
You're
2000,
also you're also immunologist.
I'm an immunologist. I'm a qualified DM qualified
Absolutely.
immunologist.
Absolutely.
And we used to read about Anthony Fauci, and he was the man who, in 2005, he has told that the most effective drug is chloroquine or hydroxychloroquine. Almost 60% viral load. There may not be ideal drug, but 60% of the viral load can be reduced. he wrote in 2005. That's why the Trump said the chloroquine or hydroxychloroquine is a game changer. On whose advice? It is on Anthony Fauci. And he started taking the President of America himself because he was convinced that it was actually speaking. In 2005, he wrote this, and I was the first person probably in this country to take it because I
What
was
a
convinced. Because I came from Dhaka and I got the medicine from Army Hospital and I started using I because I was having little temperature, I was little scared of this, and then I was reading about it more and more in different group. Our own,
General,
we have our own
General,
group.
General, General, what you said, I would like the viewers to note. In fact, आपने तो बहुत साधारणता से बोल रहे हैं कि you were the first one who talked about this hydrochloroquine. I think I want you to slightly elaborate this because these are the tender moments when the challenge is in front of you, when the whole nation or the whole world is facing the problem. And you said you were one of those first ones who identified. Actually, initially you talked about three things. You talked about hydrochloroquine. You talked about the Chinese medicine. You talked about remdesivir, and
Remdesivir,
in
yeah.
category you're talking about hydrochloroquine. Please elaborate this thing, that initial moment of thought on this hydrochloroquine, because I want the
Sir,
viewers to know about
actually,
it.
yeah, very interesting. Sometime histories comes by the way. And if I had not fever, I had not read it. So I read the 2005 story of using of this drug in SARS virus. So then a lot of studies already Chinese were using it in present COVID-19. French were using it. So I wrote a very small message to Ministry of Health, one of the high senior official, which I don't want to disclose. I wrote that in my own view, I just
Around which
wrote
date,
two.
around which time you wrote to
Sir, this
Ministry?
was on 20th of March. Exactly to be precise, 20 मार्च को मैंने एक मैसेज लिखा कि दिस इज माय पर्सनल रिकमेंडेशन। बाय द टाइम बहुत सारी कैजुअलिटीज होने लगी थी जगह जगह पे, स्पेशली यूएसएम इसको काफी 10 दिन के अंदर ही एक बहुत बड़ा चैलेंज मान लिया गया था। सो आई रोट दैट you can use this drug both for prophylaxis, and this is a dose. I wrote dose also, and the for the treatment also. Now it's not based on something mythological or something. It was based on experience of China, experience of France, and the old studies on coronavirus. I just about those 100 pages I read, and I wrote in 2 lines that we should, this is my personal recommendation, which should be used in India. Luckily, this health official was a very senior person in ministry, and he or they send it to ICMR,
Okay.
and they told me that we are sending to ICMR. So I got a little nervous because ICMR is full of scientists. They will ask me 200 questions. So I again wrote that this is my personal view based on historical perspective of this drug on this disease. And to my surprise, on 22nd, ICMR, rightly so, I salute ICMR, I salute those officials who took a very fast decision. Look, that was a time to take a very fast decision. And even today, not many countries are using it as a prophylaxis because still debate is going on. We started using it, and results are coming up. Yesterday, day before yesterday, ICMR study was published because most of the Western media says that we don't have a study, we are just using it unnecessarily.
Doctor,
So the
I want to ask you, can you just explain us the role of ICMR?
yes, sir. This ICMR is basically Indian Council of Medical Research. देखिए जितने हॉस्पिटल्स हैं, जिससे कोई कहे कि भाई आर्मी हॉस्पिटल है, ऑल इंस्टीट्यूट मेडिकल साइंस है, सफदरजंग हॉस्पिटल है, मौलाना आजाद, लेडी हार्डिंग, ये सब तो हॉस्पिटल्स हैं, बट इनको इनमें जो रिसर्च हो रही है उसका एथिक्स कौन कंट्रोल करेगा? नहीं तो मैं कहूंगा कि भाई ये ड्रग तो मेरी बहुत अच्छी है, कोई दूसरा बोलेगा ये खराब है, कोई बोलेगा 100 मिलीग्राम देना चाहिए, कोई 200 मिलीग्राम देना चाहिए। तो व्हाट दे वो पूरा वर्ल्ड का डाटा इकट्ठा करते हैं और उसके हिसाब से वो कहते हैं अच्छा ठीक है, यू सबमिट योर प्रोटोकॉल, देन देयर आर डिस्कशंस एंड ओनली साइंस। सो myths and facts, so myths are deleted and facts are kept.
Okay. And what is the role of health ministry as in
So
relation to
health
ICMR?
ministry is for governance. Ultimately, ICMR is a recommending authority only on the behalf of the government of India. The final order comes from the ministry. So it is like any form of democracy where the governance is done by the ministry. So
Just out of
ICMR recommends it.
inquisitiveness, I want to know that when was the first conference, the press briefing held by ICMR? Because I have noted on some very important dates which you said. You were in Bangladesh on March 8th. 12th you spoke to somebody, then 20th they acknowledged this thing. So it is very important because when to be very honest, the the this COVID-19 started in China in December. The world started getting input about in the end of January, then February, then March, then people started waking up. April, they started getting into the gear sort of thing. But your dates are important. So I want you to slightly put it in right perspective about this aspect, please.
Sir, very rightly said. Uh, Suppose 31st December, even if we remember 1st January, so it started, the first case report came from China in 1st January. The first case was reported, means writing. It must be happening in November, it must be happening in December, but the first report, published report came in January. So that world knew there's a new disease. So whole January passed, whole February passed. March, I went to Bangladesh. That was on 5th of March. I was in Dhaka because it was a TV show. I remember. So it was a TV show on 7th of March. I came back probably on 8th of March. I wrote this on 20th of March. So in between, it was happening world over, something or other. It was happening in India also. The ICMR took a very fast decision, and they recommended on 22nd of March. Why ICMR did it? Because if you really ask me, it was the only drug which has a very solid data. And they realized I was just a stimulus. I was a slow sole stimulus to this, and they must have seen the literature. It's not that I have written and they have recommended. They must have gone to the whole literature
In fact,
and they must have realized,
General,
yes, whatever I'm telling is correct.
General, being stimulus in the challenging time is also worth noting, it is a challenging time when the black clouds are in front of you. Stimulus, initiators, facilitators is what is most important. I want to ask you one thing that, in the whole process of India showing its genuine and the deep compassion for the entire world, we have sent the hydrochloroquine to US, to so many countries, and we have stood by the need of the world at this critical time. Uh, how do you see? Because when you look at the messages from President Trump, you look at the message from European Union and other nations, you feel very proud as an Indian that we stood the test of time. We showed our real face of compassion to the world, and it is connected to the subject of hydrochloroquine. How do you look at it from a doctor and a journal point of view?
Sir, I feel very proud. First thing, why I feel proud? Because we knew about this drug very well. I'm a rheumatologist and immunologist. We are using this drug for last 40 years. And we use about exactly after this incident, I went to the drug company. I said, how many prescriptions are coming from all the country? I wanted data. So they said roughly about 2 crore prescriptions every month. So you can imagine this drug is used about roughly 2 crore patient uses. And who are these patients? When COVID was not there, the patients of rheumatoid arthritis and other autoimmune diseases. So we knew about this drug very well. Not many people knew. People knew it is an anti-malarial drug. Look, malaria is not that much. Malaria use is very minimal. The use of this drug is maximum by rheumatology. So we were the master of this drug. So first thing, I was very proud that I knew about this drug. So I used to feel bad when other people who didn't know about this drug, they were talking about this is not safe, this, that, because probably it is one of the very safe drug. We are using it, so we know it. And rightly so, our Prime Minister immediately, without even blinking his eyes, not only to the US, US comes in about 100 other nation. I checked, this data is correct. About 100 other nation we started exporting it. And the manufacturing from 2 crore went to the 20 crore. So it has, can you imagine the manufacturing? 75% of hydroxychloroquine, the share, 75% share of the whole world is by India. So it is a great money for India. Actually, that was the main region.
And
Other
General, beyond money, I think I look at the point of view of intentions to help, compassion. And I want to tell you something very interesting. When I was a junior officer, when I was a lieutenant captain, if I'm correct, I don't know about it. This hydrochloroquine was the medicine what we used to carry it, follow a drill. In the evening roll call, we used to go to our boys in the company, make them stand, hold a glass of water, and we used to ensure that they eat it in front of us because the taste was very bad. So some of the smart boys they would always like to ensure that how much itna taste खराब होता था. Is it the same medicine I had relationship with?
Sir, you are absolutely correct. It is actually when I joined army in 70s, 77 to be precise, and and I was posted in Assam. So it is the same drug. It was called as chloroquine, and now it is called as hydroxychloroquine because hydroxylation makes it more less side effects. So it is called hydroxychloroquine. Basic drug remains the same, and it is because of that history I knew that it can be given weekly, because a lot of people criticizes why it is given weekly, because we knew it was given for prophylaxis of malaria. As you said correctly, not money, it is a human. Look, any other country would have set down on this drug. I can tell you, we have no any other country. It is great of this country that we distributed this drug to all over the world.
Beautiful. Sir, I just want to share in the lightweight. It was 77. I got my commission. My JCO told me, साहब ये जो हम गोली देता है हाइड्रोक्लोरोक्विन की, ये जवान लोग खाता नहीं है, फेंक देता है, बोलता है बहुत कड़वा है. So I used to tell my JCO, I said, I will come personally in the evening. All the boys should be there, and we will do a drill of this. And all of us used to follow this drill. That hydrochloroquine came to add into the pride of India and the solution to COVID. It is very interesting. Sir, I want to know from you that, as generally we, as a non-medical person, we feel that the whole world is fighting for solution for the vaccine of COVID. What are the various options? What is the various progress? And where are we as far as the solution or the vaccine of the COVID-19 is concerned?
सर एक मिनट में जरूर लूंगा, चूंकि आपने हिस्ट्री को खोला है कि ये जो कड़वाहट है इस दवा का, जब the Tipu fort was conquered by Britishers, so then they realized a lot of malaria in that area and a lot of people were suffering. The Britishers, the local people said that there's a drug which they knew that this drug should be used, and the Britishers also felt the same thing, that हमारे soldiers लेते नहीं है, फेंक देते हैं, कड़वी है, ये है, वो. So they introduced called tonic. So tonic with a gin. So even tonic today has a chloroquine in it. Can you imagine? This is how the history is. Basically history ये है कि जो एक ट्री है, सिंकोना ट्री, उसकी छाल से ये आती है. ये पेरू में हुआ करता था. वर्ल्ड ओवर मलेरिया पहले बहुत था, तो एक कंट्री से दूसरी कंट्री में गया, इंडिया में भी आ गया. उसके बाद एक अमेरिकन और कई लोगों ने उसको एक ड्रग के रूप में बना लिया, कि उन्होंने पता लगाया इसमें क्या चीज है और वही चीज उन्होंने बना दिया. इनफैक्ट 1949 में सबसे पहले यूएस में पेटेंट हुआ, बट पेटेंट 49 में हुआ, उसके 100 साल पहले से ये यूज हो रहा था इंडिया में बिकॉज ऑफ मैनी थिंग. यू आस्क अबाउट वैक्सीन, वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चन. यू मस्ट रियलाइज कि यदि किसी को इम्यूनिटी प्राप्त करनी है इस बीमारी के लिए तो कैसे प्राप्त कर सकता है. जैसे हम लोग कहते हैं वैक्सीनेशन, हम बच्चों को, छोटे छोटे बच्चों को देखते रहते हैं, स्मॉल पॉक्स, चिकन पॉक्स, ये वो. इस कंट्री की सबसे बड़ी एक जो सक्सेस की कहानी है वो हमारे पास पोलियो नहीं होता बिकॉज ऑफ पोलियो वैक्सीन के कारण. हमारा स्मॉल पॉक्स नहीं होता क्योंकि स्मॉल पॉक्स वैक्सीन है. देखिए कितना बड़ा. लोग जो मॉडर्न मेडिसिन को, कई लोग बोलते रहते हैं ना कि मॉडर्न मेडिसिन में तो जड़ से इलाज नहीं होता. इतनी बड़ी उपलब्धि है ह्यूमन बीइंग के लिए कि एक बीमारी, मैंने देखा है मेडिकल कॉलेज में, गांव के गांव स्मॉल पॉक्स से पीड़ित थे, गांव के गांव अंधे हो जाते थे, गांव के गांव मर जाते थे. बहुत पुरानी बात नहीं है. स्मॉल पॉक्स का वैक्सीन आया. नाउ कमिंग टू द वैक्सीनेशन ऑफ दिस. एनी वैक्सीन रिक्वायर्स, what is the product we should use it. So the RNA, this is a RNA virus. Look, genetic material is either RNA or DNA. We don't want to go in detail of that. RNA जो वायरस है उनका वैक्सीन बनाना बड़ा मुश्किल होता है. जैसे कि आपने सुना HIV का वायरस का आज तक वैक्सीन नहीं बना. अब चूंकि ये इतना ज्यादा पेंडेमिक था कि पूरी साइंटिफिक कम्युनिटी लग गई कि वी विल मेक इट. तो अभी कम से कम 30 जो कंपनियां हैं वो रनिंग में है. हमारे यहाँ से भी कई स्टेक होल्डर्स हैं जो कि उसमें हैं, विच आई डोंट वांट टू गो इन डिटेल, बट आई कैन टेल यू RNA वायरस की जो वैक्सीन सक्सेस होना बहुत मुश्किल बात है. इसको बोलते हैं फेज 1, फेज 2, फेज 3 ट्रायल. फेज 1 तो सिर्फ इसलिए करते हैं सेफ्टी के लिए. तो कोई भी चीज जो कि इतने मास को दी जा रही है, मैंने 130 करोड़ लोगों को वैक्सीनेशन करना है, तो इट शुड बी वेरी सेफ. सेफ्टी फर्स्ट. तो फेज 1 ट्रायल तो सिर्फ इस पे होती है कि ऐसा नहीं कि आपने वैक्सीन दिया और उसी को कोविड हो गया. तो फेज 1 ट्रायल इज ऑलरेडी डन. इसको सब रैपिड ट्रैक पे किया गया क्योंकि ये 7-8 साल में हुआ करता था, तो बहुत ज्यादा परमिशंस की जरूरत पड़ती थी. तो करते कराते ये जरूर हो गया कि हमारे पास शायद दिसंबर तक वैक्सीन कोई ना कोई कंपनी बना लेगी. बहुत सी कंपनियां आगे हैं. अभी आप सुनते रहते हैं ऑक्सफोर्ड ग्रुप है, कभी सनोफी है, इवन मैंने सुना कि हमारा जो पतंजलि ग्रुप है, दे आल्सो हैव ए स्टेक इन दिस. दे हैव पुट आल्सो मनी इन दैट वी विल फंड. So I don't know. There are a lot of private players and a lot of government players are there. Who will make the first? Who will be successful? Let's hope. Even if it is 62, they claim it will be about 80%. Somebody says 60%. Israeli says 90%, 100%. How much effectivity is there? Problem is how much effective it will be. Only time will say.
Doctor,
Now human trials are already there. Human trials are already on.
see, at this moment, the entire world, globe, humanity is looking at the challenge to have some solution in hand where we can forcefully say, yes, we found the solution against COVID 19. So, I personally feel, being a non doctor, I can say that we should be open to all the tracks, all the attempts, all the efforts. I would say that not only allopathic, I will
Very
say
important. Very important.
I will say Ayurvedic or traditional, non-traditional medicine. I'm of this opinion that look, we as a humanity is looking for solution. We should not close any option. How do you look at this perspective?
Yeah, as a scientist, I always feel you are not a scientist if you are not open. There is nothing like the God has not made this pathy, that pathy. They are all prevalent in society. If somebody says haldi is effective, before you discard it, you must try. Even I can tell you how it started, the cinchona bark, because all those people who are living in jungle, they used to eat cinchona bark when malaria used to occur, and they used to be cured. So that is how the story started. Then people start telling, यार वो उसका छाल खाने से मलेरिया नहीं होता है, वो बुखार नहीं होता, इसमें ठंड लगती है. तो किसी साइंटिस्ट ने उसको पकड़ लिया. तो यदि आप ओपन यदि नहीं रहेंगे, तो यदि कोई इवन आपका कोई छोटा से छोटा होम्योपैथ, आज मुझे एक होम्योपैथ रिंग कर रहे थे कि साहब मैंने एक दवा बनाई है. मैंने कहा कोई बात नहीं, आप ICMR को दे दीजिए. आपको ICMR को नहीं देना तो आयुष को दे दीजिए, क्योंकि आयुष भी आजकल ट्राई कर रहा है. हाँ, मिथ्स और फैक्ट्स में अंतर तो होगा. देखिए कोई कहे कि उस पेड़ पे भूत रहता है, तो मैं जब तक नहीं मानूंगा, मैं कहूंगा अच्छा चलो मैं चलता हूं, मैं 3 दिन वहां रहता हूं, मुझे भूत दिखाओ। तो यदि इफेक्ट है किसी दवा का, मैं बताता हूं आपको हाइड्रोक्सीक्लोरोक्विन के बारे में भी, सेफ्टी के बारे में भी, जिनको नहीं मालूम था तो वो लोग कहते रहे कि यार ये सेफ दवा नहीं है। बट जब हम लोगों ने बहुत शोर मचाया, आईसीएमआर तक अपनी बात पहुंचाई, तो आईसीएमआर ने डब्ल्यूएचओ को लिखा कि जो आपकी स्टडी आपने पब्लिश करी है एक लेंसेट में, क्या हुआ इसी बीच में, ये डेवलपमेंट हम कहना भूल गए कि इसी बीच में जब हम कह रहे थे कि हमारी क्लोरोक्विन बहुत अच्छी है, अमेरिकन भी बोल रहे थे, इसी बीच में एक लेंसेट ने एक स्टडी पब्लिश कर दी कि इसके खाने से, क्लोरोक्विन खाने से डेथ के चांसेस ज्यादा होते हैं। नो, हम लोग तो साइंटिस्ट हैं, हमने उसको पढ़ा, हमें रियलाइज हुआ कि जो कि ये दवा है अर्ली डिसीज में देनी चाहिए, बहुत लेट डिसीज में यदि आप देंगे तो इफेक्टिव नहीं होगी। वो तो लेट डिसीज में यदि आप कोई भी दवा देंगे तो उस दवा को आप साइंटिफिकली ये कह सकते हैं कि इस दवा देने से डेथ हुई है, तो उनका इंटरप्रिटेशन ही गलत था। बट उसके बेसिस पे डब्ल्यूएचओ ने हाइड्रोक्सीक्लोरोक्विन की स्टडी बंद कर दी कि नहीं भाई ये अनसेफ दवा है। हम लोगों ने काफी शोर मचाया, तब आईसीएमआर ने कहा नहीं हम तो यूज करेंगे, ये सेफ दवा है। और उन्होंने डब्ल्यूएचओ को भी लिखा कि जो लैंसेट की स्टडी का इंटरप्रिटेशन है वो इंटरप्रिटेशन ही गलत है, क्योंकि वो ये दवा तो अर्ली स्टेज में दे जाना चाहिए। आज रेमसिडिविर गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया ने अप्रूव किया है सीरियस केसेस के लिए, तो यदि कोई पेशेंट सीरियस है, लेट डिसीज है, उसके लिए रेमसिडिविर है, और जो अर्ली केसेस है उसके लिए
ये
हाइड्रोक्सीक्लोरोक्विन
इनफैक्ट मेरे को याद है कि एक कॉन्फ्रेंस के अंदर में डॉक्टर नरेश त्रेहान ने जो मेदांता किया, उन्होंने आपको जिक्र करते हुए बोला था आप सचमुच जीनियस हैं। आपको सुनकर इतना अच्छा लगता है। आपके मैंने तो आपको एज ए डायरेक्टर जनरल मिलिट्री मेडिकल सर्विस देखा हुआ है, और आपके लिए मेरे दिल में बहुत ही रेवरेंस है, जिस प्रकार के आप डॉक्टर हैं, जिस प्रकार के आप इंसान हैं। जैसे आपने जिक्र किया
सर,
ऑक्सफोर्ड
मैं
का।
भी ओपन रहता हूं। यदि ओपन का मतलब यदि आप कल मुझे कोई दवा लेके आए तो मैं कभी ये नहीं कहूंगा बकवास है। आई ऑलवेज फील ये बकवास से ही साइंस बनी है। इनफैक्ट इट इज a brilliant idea of a single person has created a science. Science is not created in the lab. Science is created in this lab, here in the brain.
इनफैक्ट आपने इतना विस्तार में बोला, इतना डिटेल में बोला, आप इतने बिजी हैं। मैं आप अपने पूरे व्यूअर्स को ये बताना चाहता हूं कि अपार्ट फ्रॉम बीइंग फॉर्मर डायरेक्टर जनरल मिलिट्री मेडिकल सर्विसेज, हैविंग वन 2 awards from President of India, having 1 award from Indian Rheumatologist Association, and having done a yeoman service in the field of both as a soldier and as a doctor, आप में 2 और खूबियां जो बाकी लोग नहीं जानते, तो मैं बहुत करीब से जानता हूँ। एक तो आप पोइट बहुत अच्छे हैं, कवि बहुत अच्छे हैं, और दूसरा आप गाते भी बहुत अच्छा है। मैं चाहता हूँ कि आप एक छोटी सी कविता, बिकॉज आपका आपका जो लिखने का ढंग है कविता बहुत, इस वक्त जो चैलेंज है कोविड का, उसको मद्देनजर रख के आपकी खुद की कोई कविता के 1-2 पंक्ति बताएं तो बहुत अच्छा लगे।
मैं तो यही कहते हैं कि वो हमेशा हम लोग खुश ही, ह्यूमन बीइंग खुश है। और वो कहते हैं ना कि मेरी कविता तो नहीं है बट सॉन्ग है।
हाँ जी, प्लीज बताइए।
मैं तो
प्लीज
प्रिपेयर नहीं था, नहीं तो मैं मुझे
गुनगुना
उतना याद।
दीजिए, गुनगुना दीजिए।
थोड़ा है, थोड़े की जरूरत है, जिंदगी फिर भी यहाँ खूबसूरत है। थोड़ा है, थोड़े की जरूरत है। तो be happy with all the situation. We are passing through a bad time, but yes, थोड़ी खुशी है, थोड़ी और खुशी की जरूरत है।
What a beautiful message from a real soldier, a journal, and a health warrior, and one of the toppest rheumatologists and immunologists. सर, आपका बहुत शुक्र है। और
थैंक यू
हमारे
सर,
सब
थैंक यू वेरी मच।
इस प्लेटफॉर्म
थैंक
से जो आई एम स्टिल ह्यूमन के जो फाउंडर हैं विवेक मेहरा, और पूरे दर्शकों के तरफ से आपको जय हिंद और बहुत
जय
शुक्रिया।
हिंद सर, जय हिंद, जय हिंद।